Welcome back to Christian's Playroom. We found this box at the front door this morning and I suspect I know what's inside, but to be fair, I honestly was not expecting this until October 10th.
We got one!
It's here, the Super Nintendo Classic. This box is gorgeous. The front looks like the original box I opened on Christmas Eve 1992, redesigned to fit into this small, tiny package. The SNES Classic comes with 20 classic games and one exclusive to the US, Star Fox 2. I've always wanted to play Star Fox 2, so it being part of this package was a no-brainer for me. To be honest, every game on this list was a must-have for me as a child, and now that I have my entire library back, I can play uninterrupted without having to deal with an age system that barely works anymore. Meet Lucille. She's the system that barely works anymore. Lucille and I met on Christmas Eve 1992. I found her in a closet, unopened, in the original box, unwrapped. My parents let me open it that night, and she and I have never parted ways since. We spent endless nights riding mine carts with Donkey Kong and eating apples with Yoshi, trying to save the princess a whole lot with Mario. Here's Lucille. Here's the new Super Nintendo Classic box, contents and all. It's literally smaller than the original console. I remember the original box being massive, stuffed with styrofoam. Things have come a long way. So now, without further ado, let's open this. Inside the box we have a warranty agreement, a folded poster with instructions on one side, and an image of the game list and screenshots on the other. 2 SNES Classic controllers, which if I didn't know any better, I'd think they were the original controllers. The button scheme appears the same, even the shape and the style of the controller with the left and right buttons on top are unmistakably SNES. Let's test that. Here's the new controller next to the original controller. Though the original controller is a bit weathered from years of use, you can see that the translation is nearly identical. The new controller feels great in the hand. The buttons press nicely and respond very well. The controller itself has a textured feel to it for better grip. The original controller responds identically to the new controller. All the button presses respond nicely. The one major difference is the texture. Yes, the controller is old, but it is a smooth, slick feel on the fingertips versus the textured surface of the new SNES Classic controller. Here we have our cable hookups, an HDMI for audio video, USB cable for power, and an AC adapter with a USB input to plug in the wall. Man, look at that. The SNES Classic has all the cosmetic attributes of its bigger brother in a tiny package. Here we have the HDMI out and USB power inputs, whereas the original would have needed multi-out, RF out, power in, and a channel 3 and 4 switch, seen here on Lucille. The controller ports are hidden by this flip-down plate that looks exactly like the controller ports on the original console. Nintendo carried the Wiimote port onto this, meaning the extension cables from the NES Classic or the Wii will work with the Super Nintendo Classic console. The system has a tactile power switch that slides up and down with a solid click. This action and the color of the button matched that of the original console. On the other side, there's a spring-loaded reset button, also in the same color and style as the original console. In the middle, there is a non-working reset button that would pop out the cartridge on the original Super Nintendo. Here's a size comparison between the SNES Classic and Lucille, or any other original Super Nintendo from 1992. The menu system in the game is the same as the NES Classic with a lot of the same features. All of the games are listed alphabetically by default, and if you're like me and want to play Star Fox 2 immediately, you can't until you beat the first round of Star Fox. One of the cool new features in the menu is being able to add a border to your 4 3-pillar boxes on each side of the screen. I chose the retro one, but there are many to play around with. And as you should know, I'm using the NES Classic extension cable on the SNES controller so that I can be this far away from the TV. If you find that the controller isn't long enough and you have the extension from the NES Classic or Wii, you should be okay. The Super Nintendo Classic is a must-have for any SNES fan, especially those of you who are like me and played everything the system had to offer and would like to have a piece of that back in a stable, non-buggy, all-in-one console. Yeah, it only has 21 games, but those games are arguably the best of the best that the generation had to offer. At $79.99, it's a steal. Now I know what you're saying, "We can't get one, it's sold out." I was one of those Walmart customers that pre-ordered when they messed up, and I was so happy until they announced that they had a glitch. We ended up getting this from Target the day it actually went on pre-sale, and to be honest, I sat for a good hour just refreshing the page on my phone until I got it. Had a few close calls, and finally one went through, and now here we are. One console and one happy man-child later. But in all seriousness, don't resort to the scalpers. The amount of joy you're going to get from the system is going to be outweighed by the price difference you gave someone else for it. Trust me, my NES Classic is a pure example of that. So that's it for now. If you like this video and want to see us do more of these, click the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, thank you for tuning in. We'd love for you to subscribe if you haven't already. We continue to post fun content as regularly as possible, so until next time, check out some of our other videos and stay tuned.